Howdy, guys. Welcome back to the RedAss podcast. It is Monday, October 9th. And let me tell you, this might be the most Monday of all Mondays that I've had in a long time.
Coming off 21 hours in the bus getting home. That's a lot of driving.
It was a ton of driving, and we will get into all of the fun stuff on that front. But before that, I'm Rob White, class of 14.
Yeah, I'm Roy May, class of 15.
And it is Monday. And unfortunately, it's a
It
Monday.
is Monday.
It's a Monday after an Aggie loss, which is always one of those deals where you log into Twitter/X and Texags or elsewhere, and you just have everybody searching for the magic bullet to what all of our problems are, and it always comes down to the same 15 different reasons, which make no
Yes.
sense to anybody.
Well, I mean, specifically this game, there's nothing to hang your hat on as this is the very specific reason or play that we lost. This was a tough one, man. You're in control going into the halftime and you come out of the second half and just kind of get lit up by an Alabama defense that decided to play to their capability. I mean, let's don't get crazy. Their defense is really, really, really good.
Yeah.
It's I can't think of another one that will play that's as good.
Which I
But
mean,
but you showed in the first half that you could control it, and you did in the second.
yeah, unfortunately, defensively, that was a very weird game for a lot of different reasons. Because I'll be honest, I jumped in the game, and maybe this is the reason why that everything went to hell. But I jump into the game right when we had the interception in the third quarter. We're already up 17-10, and we have an interception. And then
That
not a couple plays later, we give the ball right back. And I feel like after that interception, you go down the other way and you go ahead and put this game out of reach, or you take full control. And we just lost that. We didn't take advantage of the opportunities given to us.
well, I mean, you had it right there in front of you. I mean, you forced a turnover. The defense played great.
Yeah.
Um, which is crazy to say, but well, I mean, it's not crazy to say they played great. It's just, if you got the kind of a performance out of they didn't play great. The front seven played great.
Yeah.
But even then, like, there were times that whether it was, I don't know if it was scheme or what, you just, your biggest fear, and we talked about this last week with Jalen Milrow, was the deep ball. Like
Yeah.
everything else, I think you saw like throughout the game, the intermediate stuff. I mean, he can hit it, but he doesn't hit it at a pace that you would think an Alabama quarterback would. His
Mhm.
deep ball is lethal,
Yeah.
and that's what we gave him. Like we gave him the deep ball. Who is that dude's name from Alabama? Rayton?
Something like, yeah.
No, Burton. Excuse me.
Burton. Yeah.
Burton is still running free on Kyle Field. Like, I mean, the dude goes out for 200 yards, like one
Yeah.
guy, and we
Yeah.
did make the adjustment after a couple different times. So, I mean, but still, you held Alabama to 26. You had the lead at the halftime, and that turnover. I think if you're able to take that and actually go do something with it, like you're saying, like it's a massive momentum switch. Well, not a momentum switch. I mean, you had the momentum because you were ahead coming out of going into the locker room.
Yeah.
But you really, if you're able to take that and drive down the field and put it in the end zone, the entire scope of the game changes because of how Alabama has to play and how you can then play because of now you're up, two scores.
Mhm.
And you really are kind of quote unquote in the driver's seat. But to go out and get blanked in the third quarter it was killer. It was absolutely killer.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, it just seemed like defensively, Alabama really did make proper adjustments, which is, that's what you expect a
That's what
great
you do.
football team to do. Yeah. And we, for whatever reason, just there was no good push offensively from the line. I feel bad for Max. He just, a lot of times he didn't have time to throw. And when he did have time, it certainly seemed like there was a bit of hesitation that we didn't see from Connor. It was a weird dynamic there, especially in the second half.
No, it was like it's the worst possible combination because the
Yeah.
line got absolutely blown up. I don't know if you saw their PFF grades, but they were all miserably low.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like you said, the times that he did have time, he just held onto the ball.
Mm-hmm.
You had a couple misreads, and again, one misread, two misreads aren't going to be the difference in a football game. But you start putting all these tiny little things together, and it's easy to see how we ended up blowing this game. Statistically, if you read like the team stats, you would almost go, "Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure A&M won this game." It's unbelievable what we were able to not do offensively, and unfortunately, you got to put a lot of it on the line.
Yeah.
The That's we said the times that he did have time. Well, that's great, but it needs to be more than a couple times. The blocking was just and the way they graded out. It proves it. It was horrendous up front, and you can't be bad up front when you're playing Alabama. And I get that maybe some of that is because you were playing Alabama, but you're talking about some abysmal scoring out ratings. Just from an individual standpoint, each person on the line. I think the highest rated was like 57.
Mm.
Which if you don't know much about PFF gradings, that's not very good. It's generally based kind of like test scores. So 57 generally doesn't pass.
Yeah, that's kind of an F range,
Well, seriously, you look at like how many yards did we hold them to? Even take out the sacks and you're at 50 some odd yards, right? We hold them up well under 100 yards rushing.
Yeah.
But just there, you don't have to run the ball if you got a guy running just wide open on the sideline every time he runs a route. And
Yeah.
that just got to be so flipping frustrating seeing Burton pop open over and over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
And no adjustment.
Yeah,
No adjustment made.
no adjustment. And I mean, you had a mismatch, with Dewberry on the edge, and for whatever reason, just we couldn't scheme against that. I don't know why, but it just felt like they're picking on him all day, especially in the second half.
Well,
But
it's not that you can't scheme against it, it's that you didn't.
right,
I think that's my biggest complaint. If you really make enough adjustments, no receiver should ever go for 197 and
no,
two touchdowns. Did he get like 197 and two touchdowns? Yeah.
mm,
9 catches for 197 and two touchdowns. Like
insanity.
that's just getting abused on the
Yeah,
outside. Like just straight up getting abused. But I mean, what adjustment do you make? Who do you put in there? I mean, what you have to do is the adjustment, because if you're running to Barry out there at corner, then he's clearly your best option. And if you
yeah,
can't cover this guy, you've got to roll a safety or something. Like you've got to do something, or you've got to get home. Like you have got to get home to the quarterback. Like you can't let him, because you can't throw a 45-yard pass without the guy running 45 yards. All right,
no,
which at a minimum, if he's really fast, takes about 4 seconds and change. Right,
mm-hmm.
standard wide receiver speed. I mean, you're talking about having 5, 6, 7 seconds back there to throw. Any quarterback can do that. Anyone.
Exactly.
And on top of that, we've said it before. You're also asking your defensive backs to cover for a much longer time than is reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
yeah, I'm pretty down in the mouth about it, to be honest. I thought it just really sucked. I thought the game was there for the taking, and I think we just totally blew it. I don't think there's any other way to put that.
yeah, there's no frustration quite like knowing the fact that you probably should have won a football game. Like it's a whole different ball. It's a whole different ball game when you're getting blown out 59-0 to Alabama, which 2014.
Been there.
I was there. Yeah, you
Yeah.
were there.
Yeah. Well,
um,
what's really going to be hard to explain or hard to swallow is if we end up going 10-2 and you look back and you go, "Are you kidding me?"
and yeah, especially if you look at Alabama. And frankly, if you look at how things kind of shook out with Miami this past week, asking yourself additional questions, which, it's hard to judge a game from week 2, especially now that you are halfway through your season.
Yeah,
You know?
the Miami game, it's just that kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think we were very competitive in the second half of that one either.
No.
We weren't really competitive after about the first quarter in Miami. But yeah, I mean, Georgia Tech pulled off obviously a humongous upset, aided by the fact that Mario Cristobal is apparently a bonehead. Yeah, my Miami fans are not real. They didn't wake up real thrilled on Sunday morning.
I don't blame them. I mean,
It's so inexcusable.
I mean, you're less than 40 seconds. Take the knee. Game over. Like
that's literally all you have to do.
That's all you have to do. You don't have to miracle at the Meadowlands this situation, which is exactly what happened. And if you don't know what that story is, go look up Miracle in the Meadowlands.
Yeah.
With the Giants and the Jets, or was that right? I think it was the Giants and the Jets. But regardless, it was a crazy end to that football game. But I mean, absolutely ridiculous. Anyhow, yes, so
No, it was the
definitely
Eagles. What, the Eagles?
it might have been the Eagles.
I think it was the Eagles. I don't
I think you're right. It was a divisional matchup, but
know. I don't know.
yeah,
But
regardless,
just I want to put a pin in this because I don't really feel like revisiting this Bama game much more.
that's fair.
But your third, like we go back, talk about, what are the big stats? Third down efficiency, turnovers, right? Those are the big ones.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, we were both 4-12 on third down. So it's like you did your job against Alabama. The problem is the third downs they converted were unfortunately monumental. Had the exact same number of first downs. They well outpaced us on penalty yardage, which again, as always, huge tip of the cap to the 12th man. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, we both threw a pick within about 5 minutes of each other.
Yeah.
So and you slightly edge out the time of possession, and you kind of add all that stuff up, and you're like, how in the crap did we not win this game? And it's the like the frustrating when it was 3rd and 1 and we ran it up the gut 2 plays in a row. From the pistol and not from under the center. Like where the bush push is and that I have no idea. That's all you have to do is line up under center and just shove. That's all you have to do. So that was really frustrating for me. And I saw somebody on the board say something along the lines of, I wonder who's like, I'm not, I'll tell you right now, Bobby Petrino's making the play call, but I wonder if had he known that we were going to go for it on 4th down, that third down play call would have been a little different.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you run some play action, an easy little boot, get Max outside the pocket and give him an option to either dump short, accidentally have somebody get open deep, or, Max is big enough, he can get it. But 2 plays in a row and you need 1 yard and the quarterback isn't our center. That may be one of my biggest pet peeves in all of football.
It drives me nuts.
Why would you snap the ball 5 yards backwards?
Yeah.
Because now you got to go 6 yards.
That's never made any sense to me at all. I understand momentum. I understand, but you can get that under center with a running back.
Yeah.
It's not that crazy of a concept.
It's oddly enough, a lot of teams do it. I've seen them.
And it works. Hell, quarterback sneaks can work with the fullback right behind him, pushing them through. It doesn't matter.
That's all you got to do. You snap the ball, get low, everybody shoves low, and the running back shoves the quarterback.
Of all things, I think I feel most frustrated for if I was in this situation was being a fan at that game, knowing that you applied so much and it came down to a lot of conservative play calling, a lot of conservative decision making. And we're now sitting here as a fan base looking back and saying, this should have been our coming out party. This absolutely should have been our coming out party. We should have beat Alabama by a couple of scores.
And yet again, here we are.
And it makes me continually question, just like a lot of Aggies tend to question, will it ever end?
That punting 4th and 1 at the 45, like...
you can't do that at that point in the game, man.
I mean, I can see the reasoning behind it. I'm not promoting it by any means. I can see the reasoning behind it. But, however, you're not there to play conservative. You're there to win the football game. And, it's exacerbated by the fact that the punt went out the back of the end zone, so it ended up being a nothing punt. But, I don't know. Whatever.
But good bull. We're moving on from this football game. We're going to move into next
Let's talk about the rest of the miserable weekend.
Yeah, let's talk about the rest of the miserable weekend before we get to some positives. So, all right, let's look at...
It could have been worse. The Sips could have won. So,
oh my Lord, I think that'd have been bad.
Like recruiting balance and swings and momentum as far as programs are concerned. Like, that's a big one. And I hate to say it, but it's important because, and I know we recruit against OU as well, but we recruit against Texas a lot more than OU. I think OU is going to have a tough time with the transition to the SEC, or a tougher time than Texas.
Yeah, I agree.
I think OU can get there, but I think they're starting from a spot further back than Texas was, and Texas has a bunch of recruiting momentum. So now, if you're Oklahoma, you're recruiting against a resurging Texas and a now established Texas A&M in the SEC who's stacking up recruiting classes. So I guess like you can go steal all of Arkansas's recruits, but look where that gets you. Look where Arkansas keeps finishing. So it's not Oklahoma's going to have a lot harder time and a lot harder sell.
I agree.
Unless they can come in and have a first season like we did.
Well, and
honestly.
it's been pretty wild because I mean, you go on a lot of the message boards, and even a lot of Oklahoma fans have been starting to question the move before they're even there. They're like, "What are we even doing here?"
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I understand that we have to be tied at the hip to Texas for virtually everything because we're kind of a package
Yeah. That's
deal.
why you're where you are.
But you're going to follow Texas to the SEC, which, that's great and good, but it doesn't really necessarily help you because you don't have as big of a recruiting pool. Consider what Oklahoma traditionally is. Oklahoma is a big power for the Big 8 and the Big
Mhm.
12. They are that perennial program. The SEC already had it. Its name's Alabama. So you're talking like if we're talking prestige here, I mean, people aren't going to want to go further away, to
Yeah.
go play at Oklahoma when Alabama's right there, when Georgia's right there, and the hub of this conference is just rocking and rolling with some very
Well,
solid teams right now.
it's not even that. I mean,
Yeah,
you can go less far just by going to A&M or Texas.
yeah, even less far.
I think it's going to be tough on OU. And honestly, if they just stayed where they were, they probably would start racking up Big 12 championships.
Oh, no question about it.
So yeah, I mean, it's a shame that they attach themselves to Texas, but generally when you do that, bad things occur.
Yeah. Why do you think we left anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah. The rest of the weekend, as far as college scores, I mean,
Oh,
some
well, I was gonna say like the Stros are split heading in. Like
yeah,
the Rangers are the one bright spot for the state of Texas, basically.
pretty
Uh,
much, yeah.
so hopefully they
Uh,
blow a couple on the road. But
Not gonna make me cry about it.
yeah. But yeah, it's not the end of the world for the Stros heading up to Minnesota. At least they split. They're not heading up there 0-2, basically staring death in the face.
Right.
Um, the Texans yet again found an even more heartbreaking way to lose a football game than normal.
Yeah.
So thoughts and prayers to all our Texans fans out there.
And
And,
how about
the
those
Cowboys just got absolutely demolished.
I mean, let's face it, I think the 49ers might be the best team in the league.
Well, I don't think that's a stretch at all,
No.
but they also gave up the most points they've ever given up to the 49ers.
Yeah.
Which from a defense that I'll be honest, I think everybody thinks is a pretty stinking good defense, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch the game. I actually had the Stros on and I was just kind of in and out snoozing for the
Yeah.
evening, my standard Sunday evening approach. But so I didn't watch Cowboys game. I just know that Dak Prescott threw 3 interceptions. So
Mm-hmm.
nice to hear that he's still mediocre.
Yeah. Some things never change. It is what it is.
Consistency, I'll give him that.
Consistency. Yeah. So state of Texas definitely had a rough week. Minus of course the Rangers. I mean, even TCU losing to Iowa State. Baylor and Tech were playing against each other, which that is what
But
it
yeah,
is.
it's the butt bowl.
Yeah, the Butt Bowl, which is honestly one of my favorite names for a rivalry ever. Like, I know it's not official by any means, but BUTT. I mean, come on, guys, we have to do this. As far as some other college things, I did want to touch on a couple of things because we're kind of enjoying actually being at one of them.
Yeah,
So
Wyoming upset. Yeah, there were. I mean, if you just go by ranking, I mean, there were literally a handful of upsets. There should have been
yeah,
another one in Kyle Field, but there were
sure.
a handful of upsets. And the ones that even so obviously the one you were at, right? Fresno State, Wyoming.
Fresno State, Wyoming. Okay, yeah. So let me go ahead and highlight my Laramie trip. That was a lot of fun. Holy cow! We get out to the game. I'll say, if we're talking, it is such a stark contrast from like a game day experience trying to get into the stadium, get out of the stadium, try to drive around town. In Laramie, Wyoming versus College Station, Texas, I will tell you there is a huge difference. Laramie was really cool because you just roll up. It's a small town, 35,000 people ish. You pull up to the stadium, its capacity's only 30,000. But, there's people tailgating the parking lot, just like normal. It's just good old people everywhere. Cowboy hats per capita were significantly higher than any other stadium I've been in, which is
I believe
great.
it.
Yeah. You come walking it, everybody it's like a standard dress. I mean, nobody was like being overly obnoxious, like wearing crazy overalls. I mean, there were a few people, but it was like good old boys coming to watch a football game. It looked and felt like a high school football game in that sense, just graduated a bit in terms of how loud it got. Um, Honestly, really great energy in the first half, especially when they were starting to get downfield. Their running back, for the life of me, can't remember his name. He was very good. Um, yeah, Wyoming was just cruising along. It was a great game day experience. Definitely a great view around the stadium. Highly recommend anybody to go check it out if you get a chance.
Yeah, if
So,
you happen to be in Laramie during football season.
casually driving along I-80 at some point,
Affordable tickets though.
Oh, extremely affordable tickets. I paid $18 for mine.
That's awesome.
$18 to go watch a college football game in an environment that I really wanted to go to. We sat opposite side from the students, which probably for the best, but it was fun to sit where we were at, and great folks that were all sitting around us. They when they realized we were from Texas, they were asking us a bunch of stuff. I'm just enjoying what we were doing. But yeah, 4 of us from the band went. Myself, Travis, Ryan, and John, our tour manager. The 4 of us went to the game. So that was a lot of fun. Thoroughly enjoyed that game day experience. So, but also good for Wyoming. That's a big win at home against ranked opponents. So
yeah, no, it's a huge win.
Yeah.
Other upsets, I don't really want to go through them just because most of them I didn't watch. We already addressed the Cristobal doofus. LSU Missouri, I was trying to keep an eye on. I was just really interested in this one because Mizzou was out to a big lead.
Mm-hmm.
And Mizzou being undefeated, they're at home. You're wondering, are they about to show us exactly maybe who we think LSU is? And then LSU goes out in the fourth quarter, puts up 22 points, and just absolutely takes control of the game. I don't know that that's necessarily an upset. It is ranking numbers wise, but I don't think that's really an upset for LSU to go beat Missouri. I don't care that Missouri was undefeated; they hadn't played anybody.
No, and I think a lot of people coming into it really that was going to be the good indicator of who is Missouri really,
right?
And now we've looked at it and said LSU, who we know defensively still doesn't stack very well.
Yeah.
But on the plus, I mean, their offense still looks great, and yeah, they did have the pick 6 at the end, which pretty much put the game away.
Right.
But you're talking really LSU was in full control at the end of the game, which is the prime time when you need to not be running out of gas. Mizzou did.
Yeah, another one. Maryland kind of ran out of gas. That was
Same.
ran out of gas and just kind of got Ohio State pulled away in the fourth. I was watching that one on the ticker pretty intently because I was like, man, that's in the horseshoe, and Maryland's doing that. That's pretty impressive. Because there have been so much talk from Maryland fans, like, why are we ranked? Why are we ranked? Why aren't we ranked?
That's why.
That's kind of why. Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Then obviously Notre Dame losing to Louisville, which I thought was outstanding.
Oh yeah, I mean that was a little unexpected for sure, but not altogether unpleasant.
And then
Arkansas Ole Miss.
Well, watch out for the fighting Mac Browns.
Yeah, fighting Mac Browns.
I'm just saying.
I mean,
keep an eye on North Carolina.
North Carolina's just rolling along. I mean, they're 5-0, ranked 14th, and they beat the dog out of Syracuse. You're not wrong. A little unfortunate for Washington State dropping, but there was a rather interesting game that went, I guess, triple overtime. That was USC and Arizona. I did not anticipate Arizona being in that fight, but
yeah, that was surprising. I thought that was gonna be like the North Carolina score, like a 40-7 kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's good to see, I guess, fight out of Arizona if you're an Arizona fan. Because US, we all know that USC's no joke.
Yeah, go Wildcats. But don't, Dad. I'm sorry, I didn't say that. I apologize to my father. He's an Arizona State grad, so he's big Sun Devil guy. We can't say go out.
Not a very big Arizona guy then, huh?
No, we do not care for the Wildcats in our household, but we worship Sun Devils instead. Anyway, lovely. So next week we have ourselves Tennessee on the road. Big game.
Is it must win?
I think for a lot of fans in their head, they're going to think yes. Me, it's kind of in a weird spot because, you're going on the road. You're coming off of a loss. I need to see good fight out of this team. And looking at the line early, I mean, you got to think. Well, I think it was 3 in favor of Tennessee early right now.
Oh, I thought I saw it bigger than that.
That's it. It was what I had last seen, but
I didn't see it today.
Let me go ahead and double
This
check
is
it this morning.
this is one of those games
Three.
where, first of all, when's the last time we won a real road game?
Yeah, it's been a
You
while.
know, and it's not. I don't believe in the phrase that hey, they're due. Hey, you're never due. You have to go out and win it. Like just because you haven't done it in a while doesn't mean fate smiles upon you that this has to be your week. But like this has to be your week, and I don't think this is a must win by any means. But you lose
No.
this one, and there's going to be some real rumblings heading like because that's two straight losses heading into the bye week. So you've got an
Yeah.
extra week of rumblings, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and this game is incredibly important. And it's
I
not
agree.
just show fight. You need to go into Tennessee and you need to win this game. Look, their Tennessee's defense isn't going to be anywhere as good as the defense you just played.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, they're going to have a better quarterback, but he's also shown that he's not great. I mean, I think going into the season, we all thought he was going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, and he's just not having a very good year.
Yeah.
Um, we're not talking about him in the same breath as we do Caleb Williams.
No.
Um, yeah, just because USC went 3 overtimes to Arizona doesn't mean that, I mean, Caleb Williams put up 40 some odd points, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe it's the USC defense is the problem, not Caleb Williams. But I think his name is what, Joe Milton, right? I think we all thought he was going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, and he hasn't had a great year, or at least as great a year as at least I thought he would.
yeah.
So again, we'll just use this phrase. It's a winnable game.
It is.
We'll just keep throwing that around until we actually friggin' win one.
I think the most important thing that we need to do for this particular game, because I mean, we've got the dudes, we have the playmakers, we have the defense that has shown that they can do the job. The most important thing that we can do in this game is limit stupid mistakes in terms of penalties. In my head, that's the one thing that I'm going to be worried about with this road game. Don't let the outside environment affect your game day experience. Do not allow for those false starts. Don't allow for those little things, those little drive killers, because that has been such a tough thing for us to deal with.
My biggest key to the game is going to be getting out to an early start.
I agree.
It's 100,000 person stadium. All
I
right.
agree.
It's
You got to
like
take the
walking
wind
in,
out of them.
this isn't going to play in front of 60,000 people in Jerry World. This isn't Mizzou. This is a legit stadium and has been for a long time. And Tennessee fans are a rabid bunch.
Yeah.
You have got to do whatever you can do, like everything within your power to get out to a fast start on both sides of the ball and see if you can't take that crowd out of a little bit. It's probably the same thing that every opponent says when they're coming into Kyle Field. Like, we can get out to a fast start, we can take 12th man out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Tennessee's coming off a bye week, which sucks for us. This is going to be their checkerboard game, where they checker out the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So I know like it's a big game. They've obviously circled it kind of on the calendar type thing.
Yep.
You have to basically, you need to take every single positive that you can from Alabama, into your kind of mindset for this next week. Say, all right, look, I know we dropped this. If we eliminate, A, B, and C, but we keep D, E, and F that we did, we keep doing what you're doing well. We have just got to clean up some of these small things. And it's the small differences. We didn't make any massively glaring mistakes. We had one pick, and they threw a pick. So the only glaring mistake that we didn't fix, or at least looked like we tried to fix, was covering Burton.
Yeah.
But I think Alabama's the better team. Alabama, Tennessee, Alabama's better than Tennessee. All right.
I agree. Yeah.
Playing on the road is going to be difficult in an environment that none of these kids have played in before.
No. Even considering Tennessee back in the COVID year, I mean, that particular game, it wasn't a full experience. It wasn't the full go of what Tennessee is capable of. This is going to be 100,000 plus. It's going to be loud. It's going to be rocking. And it's going to be a very hostile environment. Tennessee fans are not exactly known for being the best in terms of how they treat people. So just go into it with the understanding that, it's going to be a tough environment. There's going to be a lot of adversity there. But you have the skill and the ability to beat this team. So go out there and just do it.
Well, and look, Tennessee aren't world beaters. Their last two wins are South Carolina and UTSA, right?
Yeah.
They didn't necessarily look hot doing it.
No.
They still got Alabama on the schedule, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's This is one of those things where you've really got to just straight up sack up, like go to Tennessee and eliminate. And that's why that fast start is so important to me. Like if
Yeah.
you can eliminate that hostile crowd, because like you said, I mean, they're not LSU fans, but they're pretty rabid.
Yeah.
Like they're rabid fans. So do everything that you can to take them out of it. And all that means is go out and execute. It means if you get the ball first, you need to score. When they get the ball, you need to stop them. Like you need to have consecutive scoring drives without them answering.
Hmm.
However that works out with the, who gets the ball first. And I think that's probably the biggest key is to jump on them early and take
Yeah.
and take the Vol fans out of it at least a little bit. Try and take a little bit of wind out of sales, make that stadium not 100,000 plus.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you do that? Man, I don't know. I mean, because what's weird is we've been getting off to these fast starts, but actually, maybe the key is to come out of the locker room. Unlike Bama, come out of the locker room and execute.
Yeah.
Um, Now I can see being moderately conservative when you're on the road because I understand the mindset between being at home and being on the road. But I have no problem with them just letting it fly.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, yeah, you've got a lot in front of you, but man, you got a lot to prove to yourselves still. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe not the defensive line, the linebackers, because yet again, just fantastic play.
I
Another
just
ton of tackles for loss.
It's like
You know,
you almost feel bad for the line because I mean I saw the video of Walter Nolan after the game,
that's
just literally
crushing.
literally in tears, and I understand just the frustration there because you played a win, you had a winning effort in a game, but it doesn't reflect on the scoreboard.
Yeah, but it doesn't translate to a win.
Yeah, and that's frustrating, and it's not just frustrating to you, man. It's frustrating to all of us. I've been there.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just going to be interesting because obviously, the Vols use, it's kind of a high-paced offense,
Yeah.
or like kind of an aerial attack. But what's funny is, like our defensive pass rating actually isn't that bad, despite getting burned because of what
Mhm.
the havoc we're able to cause in the backfield.
Right.
Tennessee, again, Joe Milton, we thought was going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. Like their passer rating, like in conference play, is not great, and
No.
their blocking is not great. So this sets up as a clear advantage on our side, um, to be able to just cause extreme chaos in their offensive backfield. And if you got to pick one, you're just going to stick with the bell cow, and that's been our defensive line, our linebackers, our front seven, creating havoc and making things difficult, on the passing game.
Hmm.
And again, Alabama's offensive line, they've had their noted struggles.
Hmm.
I thought they made some adjustments and played better as well, which is
Oh yeah.
crazy to think, but they did because the first half they just had a really rough go of it.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know, man. I don't know anything about Tennessee's offensive line, but I do know that they don't score well on PFF. That's stuff I was talking about with Basantis earlier.
Yeah, and we know what our front seven is capable of in terms of a pass rush, and they've honestly done well. I know it didn't look great against especially second half with Alabama, but we know what this team is capable of, and we know that they have the ability to cause a lot of havoc in the backfield. So,
Well, I don't know that, and I don't know that you're going to find a receiver on Tennessee that rivals Burton.
yeah, probably not.
So, again,
You hope
given
not.
what you just did, despite the fact that you dropped the game to Alabama,
Yeah,
and I'm not going to say it's inexcusable, but it's a pretty tough one to swallow.
it's
Um,
frustrating, no doubt.
if this team can just emotionally bounce back, get to work, go focus on beating Tennessee. You beat Tennessee, you go into the bye week.
Yeah,
Still only have one conference loss. Unfortunately, you need Alabama to lose twice, which I can't imagine happening in conference play.
probably not. But I
But
mean, at this point, I mean, you look at the rest of the schedule coming up at this stage. You have Tennessee, of course, then you have your bye week. Then you host South Carolina, at Ole Miss, host Mississippi State, host Abilene Christian, go to LSU. I mean, I look at that schedule and I really ask myself the question like, which one of these games do I think is a hard line loss? And
the only one, honestly, that I like, if you just rate it on a confidence meter,
Ole
like the
Miss,
Tennessee game is the one that concerns me the most
sure,
because man, it's great on LSU beat Missouri. They gave up 39 points to Missouri,
yeah,
right? LSU's defense has proven to not be very good.
yeah,
So that it's something you can take advantage of. And again, like you just look at the Bama team that we just that we just lost to,
Mhm.
who on our schedule is going to have that talent? And
Nobody.
they're certainly not going to have the coaching.
No. And we've seen how Alabama stacked up with Ole Miss and how we
Yep.
stacked up with Alabama. And you could, I know transitive wins and all that crap, the numbers, they don't necessarily mean anything. But I mean, Alabama showed that Ole Miss really didn't have a lot of wind in their sails. So, I mean, really, yeah, we take care of Tennessee, go on this back stretch and just do our job. Go out there
Well,
and
and
win games.
I think what every single one of us knows too, because we've seen it enough years now, is Alabama gets better week to week. They literally do every year.
Yeah.
Every year, every week, they get better week to week. So they went out and beat an Ole Miss team when Alabama was still trying to figure out who was playing quarterback, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so I mean, what we saw out of Jalen Milroe on Saturday was a much better version than we'd seen. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know that I've seen him that good yet this season. I mean,
No.
crap, he got benched, So
Yeah.
um Alabama gets better week by week. That's the challenge, really, is to continue to improve. Like, where do we go from coming off an Alabama loss? If you can improve if you can improve what you did wrong, you can go out and handle Tennessee, right? That's the thought.
That is the thought.
So
And that's the one thing that we have to do. And the reason why Jimbo Fisher's getting paid the money that he's getting paid, you have to make those adjustments week to week. You got to continue to get better and grow. And we saw that in the 2020 season. Yeah, you struggled with Alabama week 2, and then you saw growth throughout the season. And I know this is not by all means, you just lost another game. But you have a chance to at least salvage the back half of the season, potentially make yourself into a position where you're in a New Year's Six bowl.
yeah,
Two
what's
lost
funny
team,
is we're saying salvage, and they could still end up 10-2, and
and it
that's
still end up
I mean
10-2.
that's not salvaging anything. That's a good season.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I would take that. It would be, I would, and when I mean salvage from
Gloom and doom that we're currently in.
the fandom expectation of, oh man, we had one loss. If we only had one loss and we were going to Atlanta,
Well, that's it. All right.
that's
So
it.
now you're like, and you hate to don't manage expectations, but you have to adjust where this season can end. And if I had told you at the beginning of the season we'd be 10-2 and going to New Year's Six Bowl, you'd probably be like, I can do that.
I mean, what did we say preseason? I think my official prediction, I think I said was 9-3, which I think is very much something that would happen. We could lose one more game between either Tennessee, Ole Miss, potentially LSU on the road, win the rest of those games, and I would say, okay, that's about where I expected us to be. But it's traveling down this winding road of seeing how the results go, where you then look back on the season and either have a bit of, oh, sweet, we actually achieved our goal, versus, God, we were this close to doing something even better.
Yeah, I mean, you get caught up, in the momentum of a season.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people were 10-2, 9-3, 10-2. I think most people landed about there. But
Yeah.
In the week heading into the Alabama game, everybody's expectations all of a sudden goes to 11-1. They're like, we're going to win this and run the table. But
Always.
you do have to remember to think back to where you were before the season.
Mhm.
I think I was at 10-2, I think. But again, 10-2 is still achievable. Like, I
It
didn't
is.
think this was a national championship season.
No,
Uh,
I
I mean,
certainly didn't either.
I think there was a possibility, but at the same time, I mean, they've got to prove it to me before I
Yeah.
expect them to go to the national championship. Like, they need to get to Atlanta first, all right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's just start there.
Baby steps.
Baby steps,
Yeah,
exactly.
baby steps.
But 10-2 is still on the table, and I think
It is.
the ability to win in Knoxville and then getting that bye week, I think that could be it's not a must win. I mean, if you're a 10-2 guy, it's a must win,
Sure.
but because they all are now. But I think if you start thinking about the context of the back half and what we've now seen from all the teams that are left on our schedule, and we've seen enough of them, to have a pretty good picture of what to expect from them. If you can bounce back from Alabama and beat Tennessee on the road, then you've got 2 weeks to prepare yourself mentally for the back half of the season, in which you should be expecting to win out.
Right. I would love to see us just take a little momentum into the bye week. Yeah, especially off of what would be a ranked win on the road against a pretty decent Tennessee team.
Yeah,
Yep.
it'd be big. It'd be real big.
I would take that all day. I mean, we're not going to be favored in this game. At double check the line, it is 3.5 to Tennessee.
Okay.
But 3.5 to Tennessee at home. If you're a road team, that's
I
one that
mean,
you,
you get 3 for being at home.
yeah. So I mean, they like our matchup. So I'd say go in there and
Yeah, I mean, their offensive line is their offensive line is experienced.
Mhm.
You know, that I think they're probably maybe better than Alabama just because Alabama's still growing into themselves maybe as an offensive line, kind of as a unit.
Mhm.
So it's going to be interesting how our front seven matches up with their offensive line.
Yeah.
They may not be as talented, but they're more experienced, and I think that always plays a huge role.
Mhm.
Um, so but I but I can't think of anybody who can stop our front seven. So again,
Yeah.
yeah, and Milton's not throwing the deep ball worth a crap. And honestly, his mid range accuracy is uh it's not. I tell you, it's not as good. I thought he was going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the nation too. Like I
Mhm.
mean, I'm guilty of it as well. I don't know what's going on if it's in his head or what, but
Mhm.
um, about the only way that we're going to be able to make up for bad coverage on the back end is going to be blitzing a lot. Like you're
Mhm.
just gonna have to get home, and you're gonna have to, if nothing else, force short throws that you can keep in front of you. And if they complete them, you tackle them and just move on to the next play.
Mhm.
I think the one thing that we have to avoid is just letting Joe Milton sit back there all day and just wait for somebody to pop open because
Yeah.
somebody will at some point.
Yeah. You got to go out there and create havoc and shut down the opportunity for the ball to be thrown. Better yet, get some sacks.
Yeah,
Never a
better
bad
yet,
deal.
just don't let him throw. Right.
Don't let him throw. Novel thought. It definitely works. So, yeah, I mean, it was what it was. It's a new week. And we're
Yeah,
ready to move
yeah.
on, man.
Rangers are looking to close down their series and get the championship series. Stroh's got a bit of an uphill battle now, splitting it at home. They need to, obviously at a minimum, split it in Minnesota.
Man, I'm telling
You
you.
know, losing last night. You know what? That's what they get for opening the roof.
Yeah, they shouldn't have done that. I mean, I know it feels nice outside, but
Bad
keep the
karma,
son of a.
man.
You got to close that thing. Let the crowd do the work for you. You're in a dome, people. Let the crowd
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, it's a distinct advantage. Astros fans, through this whole run that I mean, you could almost call it dynasty,
Yeah,
kind of where they've been. They have learned how to become really good baseball fans.
they have.
They have. And so like opening the roof just seems like the absolute stupidest thing on the planet.
Who decided this?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know who that person is, but clearly they've not been in this organization very long because they don't understand.
Or they're in charge of paying the AC bill.
Yeah, whatever. Stupid, stupid stuff. God.
Well,
But
either way, look, obviously I'm looking forward to it. I
yeah,
kind of came to an epiphany last week and I was like, you know what? I'm just kind of done letting this drive my entire Saturdays.
yeah,
You know, I'm not the one out there practicing. I'm not getting paid to coach, so
yeah.
I'll just I'm gonna step back a bit from my emotional currency involved in this and just try to enjoy it for what it is. And
I do have something that was really funny. So Carson, who's my front man, God bless him. He's a great kid. Class of 20, and probably one of the biggest 2%ers you'll ever meet in your life. He
nice.
literally went to 2 football games his entire 4 years at A&M.
How do you even do that?
I don't know. He was a bit of a, like I said, he wrote a song called Loner. He was very much like in his own little world when he was in
Oh,
college.
okay.
He did the rodeo team, but he was not super involved in a lot of stuff like, you and I were, going out to obviously football games for you, obviously the football games I went to, baseball after
Baseball,
that, and then basketball
basketball.
as often as you could. But, he would make out, he said he would make it out to a baseball game every once in a while. He'd go out to football games every once in a while. We were playing the Alabama A&M game in the second half in the bus, and Carson was just so into it. He was watching like, y'all need to play with some spirit, damn it. Come on.
That's funny.
I was rolling. Like, honestly, watching the game, yeah, I was sitting there like, man, this kind of sucks, but I would, wish we were more into this game. After the safety, I was sitting there like, okay, I guess we're probably done. But we go the other direction regardless. I'm watching the game with the mindset like, okay, we're probably going to lose, and that's okay. Meanwhile, Carson is just like every freaking
He's at
play.
an emotional 10.
He's at an emotional 10. He said they need to play with some spirit. And honestly, I think that energy carried over to our show that night because Carson's like, we need to play with some spirit. We got to have some energy out here, man. And
Where the hell's your 12th man towel? We're going to a show, Carson. What the hell are you talking about?
I put one when I played at the Tap. I put one on my cab because, got to show up to the home fans, right? And I did play to a crowd because we were in Wyoming. I bought a Wyoming t-shirt, very basic, just literally the Wyoming, like little arch text with the cowboy on it, brown, yellow text. It's perfect. It's a great shirt. I wore it on stage. Crowd loved it. But
well, we were talking about that last week. Just how kind of like perfect Wyoming's color scheme and like the cowboy logo and
yeah,
it's just kind of perfect.
Everything's perfect. It's a great school and they're great people, and I thoroughly enjoyed being up there, and I'm looking forward to going back. We had
that's a definitely go back kind of place, huh?
Yeah, it was 260 people came out for us. A lot of them didn't even know who we were. They just showed up because they were like, post game, cool,
nice
party. And
then especially after winning too. That never hurts.
Well, these are the type of guys. They know the Co-Wetzels of the world. They know the, insert your big artist. Pegasus and the Rooftops, Dylan Wheeler, whatever. They know all of those guys. But we come in there. Maybe they've heard a song or two. They came in and they were like, "Oh, these guys kind of rock. I kind of dig what they do." So I was like, "That was cool." So
because that's got to be a fun experience, kind of getting a new crowd to experience all his music and
especially in a state that we hadn't been at in 2 years. Because we went up to Wyoming 2 years ago, played Bosler, and it was a completely different situation. We're playing out at a ranch rodeo called Tom Horn Days, just big open prairie with absolutely nothing but country rodeo kids out there. And that certainly made for entertaining energy crowd. But it was fun. We really did have a good time up there last time, and we had a great time this time too. Laramie's a really, really cool town. If you've never been as a college football fan, or really if you're just traveling and you're up on that latitude. I hate to use that word, but if you're up on that latitude, by all means, go check out Laramie. It's a badass place. Wonderful people. As is Greeley, Colorado. I thoroughly love Greeley. Good people up there at Moxie Theater. They take care of us very well. So that was a lot of fun. The only other thing, God, I hate playing in downtown Denver, man. It's just like you're walking around and it's like nobody knows that there's a show going on downstairs. There's no signage. You're just like, why are we even doing this? But the funny part was there was an A&M couple, or like at least the husband was an Aggie. He's class of 12. His name is Travis. I met him at the Black Buzzard when we were playing our show that night. He came afterwards and shook my hand, and we made an introduction. Like I said, he's class of 12. He said, "Hey, man, we had a chance to watch you guys at Green Hall whenever, this summer when we sold it out." And he was like, "Yeah, that was awesome, man. It was so hot." And I said, "Yeah, this is a bit of a stark contrast coming up here playing in front of like 80, 90 people,
a little bit different
in a basement." And he said, "Yeah, but hey, we still got to enjoy the music, and we love y'all's stuff and thoroughly enjoyed the show." So,
good.
So they said we're definitely looking forward to seeing y'all back up there at some point. Hopefully not. I mean, like I said, Black Buzzard, they treat us well, but something that's a little more geared towards our genre of music. They're more of like that indie rock scene, those independent small bands, and
not exactly your crowd.
Not exactly our crowd. And you walk around the area and you get a vibe like, these guys are country music guys. These are pop punk. These guys enjoy indie stuff. It's a different feel. Yeah. That's the way it is in some places. But
oh
well, it's all good because I have a full week where I can breathe. I'm not leaving Wednesday. In fact, I'm not leaving till Friday evening. We're playing this benefit, I believe, in Richland Springs, which is over there by Brady, Texas. So kind of almost dead center geographically in Texas.
Gotcha.
but it's about 3-4 hours away from Cat Spring. So the plan is we're going to roll out there, and we have to load in at like 9 o'clock in the morning. Like we're the first of 5 band. Oh no, see, we're the headliner of 5 bands playing this day, and the
Oh
first
wow.
the first 3 I've never heard of.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, you
the,
get to
the,
experience some new music.
yeah, I get to experience some new music, which is never a bad deal. In fact, we got to do that when we were in Colorado. When we played at Greeley, the very first band was like a straight up rock band. I was like,
We're gonna have to
interesting.
bring it.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, we always bring it, right? But it was cool. It was fun. It was like, oh, they went out there, they're like, just, he's headbanging, got the hair out, just doing the whole deal. And I'm like, I respect the energy, man. I respect the energy.
I was gonna
So,
say, speaking about bringing it every show, those bands,
yeah. I
that's
mean,
a lot, man.
you have to, man. Like
Well,
that's
that's
what
what
sells.
your fans expect you to do.
Yeah, they expect you to give it your 100% every night. So, and it's fun to watch, no doubt about it. But what all do you got going on this week? Anything fun?
I just have a really, really busy week at work.
Yeah.
Just I yeah, just got a ton of stuff going on. Last Friday, triple R Ribs Real Estate and Ramblings. We put out the video with Blake from, everybody knows him probably from Blake Steaks and
Oh
or
yeah.
Zeitman's Grocery. And Blake and I have known each other for years, so the interview is really hilarious. So if you get a chance, the YouTube channel, it's Ribs Real Estate and Ramblings, or it's at Triple R.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but uh, but yeah, just kind of plugged along this week. This is a bit of a put my nose down and grind kind of week.
I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that because I love Blake.
But it's fantastic, man. The
He's
week before,
awesome.
I believe the week before was I think it was the week before was Olin Buchanan from Texags. If
Yeah,
you guys haven't heard that one, that interview is absolutely hilarious.
check that
Ol-
out.
Olin's a hoot.
Yeah,
And they're only about 30 minutes long, so you can rip through a couple of them if you got some time sitting around. But
on your lunch break, easy to do.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. But yeah, no, just busy, man. We're kind of revamping some things with the team, so kind of changing up my schedule a little bit and having to adjust to that just a touch. But
Sure.
just busy, man. Yeah, busy with clients and
Mhm.
but it's just one of those weeks where it's like all of them all at once kind of thing. So
Yeah, I feel that. We're gonna be looks like the plan of attack is this Thursday. There's something pretty fun going on out at Cooper's Barbecue. There's
mhm.
Battle of the Bands for Chili Fest is kicking off, and
Yep.
the way it's structured, I'm not sure if this is entirely right, but the way it looks is like they're gonna have a separate band there every Thursday night from I think 7 to 8:30. So if you guys want to go check them out, there's gonna be a lot of bands trying to vie for that last spot at Chili Fest.
Yeah, we actually so that's where we record Ribs Real Estate and Ramblings there at
Mm-hmm.
Cooper's. And so they do the what is it? Can't remember what they call it, music on the porch or concert on the back porch, something like that.
Yeah,
And that was every Thursday night. We actually adjusted like that kind of plays into when we record and when we don't.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I heard they're having the Chili Fest competition starting this week, isn't it?
Yep, this week. Lucas Sosa, who's a buddy of mine, his band's gonna be playing out there this Thursday. My intention is, assuming that our schedules aren't too crazy, I'm planning on going out to every single one of those because I want to see how these bands rock and roll, and really kind of get a feel for some of the younger guys on the Texas
Yeah.
scene in the area. I
Well,
mean,
and that's what the majority of them will be.
yeah. One exception, one guy that is a little more established that is playing is Keller Cox, who's also former Yell Leader.
Yep.
He's got his band going. So he'll be out there. But David Pugh, who's another buddy of mine, he's playing in it. A few other people that I don't know. So I'm looking forward to discovering new music.
Yeah, it'll be a ton of fun.
Yeah, well, especially on Thursday. And I know a lot of people have been like messaging me like, "Hey, are you going to come out and watch this thing? Are you going to be like judging us?" I'm said, "I'm not going to be judging hard. You know,
Hmm.
I'm gonna be watching. I'm gonna be enjoying the experience, but not
Yeah.
planning on judging too hard. I'm gonna go enjoy some music.
Well, you're not one of the judges. We'll put it that way.
No, I'm not gonna be. And just for anybody who's listening that might be going, I'm not one of the judges. I did not sign up for that. I am strictly there to go enjoy some music and hang out with some music buddies. Because why not? It's
Maybe have a
Thursday
little
night. It's
barbecue and cold beer.
yeah. Hey, I've got dinner set for the next few weeks.
There, yeah, you got your
Yep,
Thursday night dinners done.
done. I'm gonna go get me some little Cooper's barbecue. So never a bad deal.
No, actually, very one fun thing that I have coming up this weekend that none of you are invited to. So since it's the Tennessee game,
Yeah.
and so we'll just have some people over watching. Probably my daughter might have a couple friends over as well, since obviously they're not going to Knoxville for the game.
Mhm.
I'm doing a good bull barbecue day at the house.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do like the whole menu spread pretty much for Saturday's game. So I'll let you know afterwards. I'm sure I'll have some leftovers.
Appreciate
But
that.
yeah, just looking forward to it. Speaking of my daughter, she obviously went to the game. They ended up with tickets on first deck. So good
Wow.
on them. Yeah, she got first deck tickets, and she was telling us. She said, "I know we lost, but that might have been the best time I've ever had."
I
So,
I can totally speak to that because that reminds me of 2013 when we played Alabama at home. Yeah, we
yeah,
lost, but you cannot tell me that that wasn't a fun day.
yeah. My daughter said it was just unbelievable. So again, another hats off to the 12th man. You guys always bring it. And hopefully, you can go beat Tennessee. So when we come back to Kyle Field to play again, everybody's fired up and still in a good enough mood to come out to Midnight Yell and come to games. And
Yeah.
I mean, not that that's ever been a huge ask, but
But there are, like I said, the frustrations can creep. I
there
understand that that
there
happens.
are there are seasons that are more difficult than others.
There are. I
And
mean,
so far, this one might be frustrating, but there's still a lot in front of us.
I'm about to
Still a
say,
ton in front of us.
yeah, you still have literally half the season in front of you
I'm
right
gonna I'm
now.
gonna be cautiously optimistic.
Hey, cautiously optimistic is a good place to be. I'd rather be there than in the dumps.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I'm really looking forward to West Ham getting a competent ref maybe in their next match.
Oh, do you want to talk about competent refs? Let's look back at Liverpool and Tottenham's match from the week before. Whoa.
Yeah,
Oof.
this guy for us in Newcastle on Sunday, like he literally needs to be banned for a week. It's bad.
Yeah, that's what I
Um,
heard. What's been going on with that?
that's the most frustrating thing is I don't know what's going on with officials right now, but it literally seems like because we have and maybe it's because we have more scrutiny, right? Like we don't notice
Yeah.
everything that's wrong until we really start digging into it.
Mhm.
But they like the Premier League officials this year really suck.
They've been horrid.
Yeah, like matches, multiple matches. Like we're not even that far in yet.
Yeah, they've been pretty darn bad, and we're
It's
not
so
even into the
bad.
meat
It's
of it.
just so bad. And there's I just can't think of any reason why they are that bad. They just are. And they're literally ruining matches.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to play victim card here as a Liverpool fan, but I mean that's essentially what happened with the Tottenham match. It is what it is. It sucks, but red cards out of nowhere and a bunch of other crazy stuff going on. It's frustrating, and it makes it hard to watch as a foreign fan when the officials are trying to take too much hold of a match when clearly that's not necessarily that's
Well,
something that's important.
and especially as baseball fans who've watched Angel Hernandez exist. Like,
The guy, so just quick aside before we close out this podcast. Angel Hernandez had the worst graded year ever, and he only called like 13 games. He was out with injury for most of the year, Angel Hernandez. And he still called the worst with a minimum of 10 games called.
I knew I shouldn't have brought his name up.
Good Lord Almighty. Launch him into the sun with a cannon. Anyway.
I tell you what, he is really tough to watch because it's just one of those things, and that's where like what you were alluding to. There's nothing worse than trying to watch a game or a match or whatever sport it is, and for the officials to feel the need to insert themselves into the narrative of the actual game. Like
Yeah.
it's miserable to watch. Like it almost every single time affects the outcome to where you're taking the outcome out of the actual player's hands, the ones actually playing the game,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to make it about you. But I will say there's some bad ones in every sport,
Sure.
but baseball percentage wise has the most bad ones.
I said, at the end of the day, this is one of my favorite quotes I've ever heard. If you're an official, the most important thing that could ever happen is that nobody knows your name because you're doing your job.
Right. It's
Because if you're that official that just does their job and isn't causing a lot of frustrations, nobody's going to talk about you. They're not going to care. Like, granted, there was Like in the playoffs last year for the World Series, like there was a guy who missed one call during the World Series game that he called against the between the Astros and the Phillies. He missed like one strike super early, but then he called a perfect game after that as a guy behind the plate. That's almost never been done.
Yeah,
And
there's some really great umps out there that don't do that.
There are, but there's also so many, especially this year, that have just made such an incredibly horrible impact on the game. And I just, it is frustrating to watch as a fan. You're not wrong.
But all right, well, I would say before we go, in case you guys are actually watching this, not just listening to it, it is hoodie season. I am rocking a hoodie today. Very happy about being able to rock a hoodie and not, basically dehydrate, like pass out of heat exhaustion.
Yeah, it was. I'll tell you what. When we left Laramie the other night, it was about 31 degrees outside, and frankly, I just got done on that hot stage. I was running around in shorts and a t-shirt, like loading stuff because I was like, I'm cooking right now. I've got plenty of heat. I can just load this in. And then as soon as we were done and I piled in the bus, I was like, ooh, all right, I'm going to put my hoodie back on.
Maybe not shorts anymore.
maybe no more shorts. That's a little chilly for me.
That's funny. Yeah, it gets up on you quick, doesn't it?
It does. It's like you're like hot, and then all of a sudden you're not, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, like almost the same exact thing happened when I went up when I was in Tahoe over the summer. Because first of all, we get there and it's like in the 60s or 70s. I'm like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
And then the morning, like I was like, oh, I'll just go out in the morning, have a cup of coffee. And I walk outside, I'm like right back inside. I'm gonna put on a jacket and I'm gonna go have a cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm. All right. So wrapping things up. Quick shout out to our boy Adam Drake here at the Dixie Chicken. Of course, always setting me up with some good gear. He's a good guy.
Oh yeah. They had a fun little party this past weekend with Dante Hall was there, and I got somebody I've got a game worn jersey I bought back when I was in the old guard, and got it signed. So I'm gonna got a Dante Hall jersey I got to get framed and then also find wall space for. But
I mean, I got plenty here if you know.
Yeah, nah, it's probably gonna be my walls. But yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it. You still got, a ton of stuff realistically ahead of you, but you've got to find a way to win this game.
I agree.
Because if you can't change the Bama narrative, you can change at least go win a big game on the road narrative.
Yeah.
We've got to have that confidence, especially knowing that we've got LSU on the road at the end of the year, right?
Yep. You have plenty in front of you to change the narrative at this point. So just
change the narrative.
Change the narrative, baby.
Just
all right.
Prove to yourself you can win on the road.
Yep. Prove that you can win on the road. I'm Rob. Follow me at X Rob the Slapper. Be sure to follow Roy May 15 over there on X. Also follow us on Instagram. We do have the Instagram account. I will be posting a lot more to it. I do have pictures from Wyoming. I will share them on the account. So be sure to come check it out and follow along with all the fun stuff. So hope you guys have a great week. Enjoy yourselves. Beat the hell out of Tennessee. Have a wonderful week, guys.
There you go.
There you go.